November 30th, 1864. 5 hours of slaughter, 6 generals dead, an army shattered beyond repair. The Battle of Franklin stands as one of history's most catastrophic military disasters. This is how ambition, fury, and pride destroyed everything. Imagine charging across 2 miles of open ground, enemy cannons tearing holes in your ranks, comrades falling like wheat before a scythe. You know you're marching toward death, yet you continue forward. This was Franklin. This was Confederate hell. General John Bell Hood watched through field glasses. His Army of Tennessee, 20,000 strong, formed perfect battle lines. Before them, Union fortifications bristling with artillery. Behind, failure at Spring Hill. Ahead, redemption or ruin. Hood chose attack. What drives men to order such carnage? What makes soldiers obey when death is certain? Franklin answered these questions in blood. The battle lasted 5 hours. Consequences echoed through generations. The Confederate Army of Tennessee died that twilight. September 1st, 1864. Atlanta burned. General William Sherman claimed Georgia's heart. Hood's Confederate Army retreated southward, bloodied and demoralized. 30,000 men who fought all summer faced brutal choice: surrender Tennessee forever or strike back with desperate audacity. Hood was a fighter, not a thinker. 3 limbs maimed in previous battles, strapped to his saddle with leather belts. Pain was constant companion. Laudanum dulled agony but sharpened aggression. He believed attack solved everything. Caution meant cowardice. Pride meant death. His plan seemed bold: invade Tennessee, threaten Nashville, draw Sherman north. If successful, reclaim lost territory, gather recruits, perhaps march east to aid Robert E. Lee. Confederate President Jefferson Davis approved reluctantly. The gamble was enormous. Alternative meant watching Confederacy slowly strangle. By late November, Hood crossed into Tennessee. His objective? Catch Union General John Schofield's smaller force before reaching Nashville's powerful defenses. Speed was everything. If Schofield united with George Thomas's garrison, Hood faced overwhelming numbers. Victory before trap closed. Patrick Cleburne commanded Hood's finest division. Born in Ireland, self-taught soldier, brilliant tactician, men called him Stonewall of the West. He proposed arming slaves for Confederate service, earning powerful enemies. Now, marching north, engaged to Susan Tarleton. Wedding waited for Tennessee's liberation. Tod Carter rode with Confederate advance. Captain, 24 years old, returning home first time in 3 years. His family's farm lay outside Franklin. He grew up in those fields. Soon he'd lead men across them under enemy fire. Home had become battlefield. Support our channel. Subscribe so you won't miss exciting new videos. Your likes and comments inspire us to create more quality content. Together, we'll make this channel a place of knowledge and inspiration. Thank you for your support. November 29th, Spring Hill, Tennessee. Hood's trap was perfect. His army blocked Columbia Pike, Schofield's only escape route north. Confederate forces outnumbered isolated Union column. One decisive strike would destroy Schofield's army before reaching Franklin. Victory seemed inevitable. Everything went wrong. Conflicting orders, confused commanders, missed communications. Confederate divisions attacked piecemeal instead of simultaneously. Union forces repulsed each assault through desperate fighting and luck. As darkness fell, Schofield recognized mortal danger. His only chance: night march past Confederate camps. Madness. Picture this: 20,000 Union soldiers marching silently down Turnpike. Confederate campfires glowing yards away. Wagon wheels wrapped in cloth. Officers whispering orders. Discovery meant annihilation. For hours they moved like ghosts through enemy territory. Confederate sentries never raised alarm. Dawn revealed impossibility. Schofield's entire army vanished northward during night. Hood woke, finding prey escaped. His subordinates offered explanations, excuses, apologies. None mattered. Perfect trap failed. Opportunity slipped through Confederate fingers, while soldiers slept within musket range of passing Yankees. Hood's rage was volcanic. He'd been humiliated. Spring Hill would haunt him forever. History's verdict already forming. Some blamed General Benjamin Cheatham for drunk incompetence. Others pointed to confused orders. Hood blamed everyone but himself. His anger demanded satisfaction. Caution evaporated. "We'll catch them at Franklin," Hood promised. Staff exchanged worried glances. Army was exhausted from forced marching. Supplies ran low. Winter approached. Wouldn't wisdom suggest rest, resupply, then engagement on favorable terms? Hood wouldn't hear it. Spring Hill's shame burned hot. Franklin meant redemption. Army marched north under gray November skies. Soldiers sensed something wrong. Veterans whispered about bad ground ahead. Officers questioned wisdom of frontal assault. General Cleburne confided to friend, "I don't like the looks of this fight, but if ordered forward, we'll do duty." Schofield's forces reached Franklin by midday. They found towns situated on Harpeth River Bend, natural defensive position. Confederate forces hours behind. There was time to dig trenches, build breastworks, position artillery. If Hood attacked here, he'd face fortress. Schofield's men grabbed shovels. 2 o'clock afternoon. Hood's army crested Winstead Hill, 2 miles south of Franklin. Below, enemy and semicircle fortifications anchored on river. Artillery positioned for overlapping fields of fire. Worst possible tactical situation. Attacking meant crossing open ground under constant bombardment. Hood's subordinates protested immediately. General Benjamin Cheatham argued against assault. General Frank Cheatham called it suicide. Even cavalryman Nathan Bedford Forrest, no stranger to aggression, suggested flanking maneuvers. Fortifications too strong. Open ground offered no cover. This wasn't battle, murder. Hood's response was ice. "I prefer fighting here where they halted rather than facing stronger works at Nashville," he said. Voice carried finality. Spring Hill's failure was their fault. Franklin would prove Confederate soldiers could break any defense through courage. They would attack immediately. Orders rippled through Confederate ranks. Form battle lines. Fix bayonets. Prepare to advance. Soldiers checked ammunition with grim faces. They'd seen strong fortifications before. Attacking across open ground against entrenched infantry and artillery violated every tactical principle. But orders were orders. 3:30. Confederate lines stretched nearly 2 miles wide. 18,000 infantry in perfect formation. Battle flags snapping in cold November wind. From Union trenches, soldiers watched spectacle with growing horror. Confederates weren't flanking. They weren't seeking weak points. Coming straight ahead. General Cleburne mounted borrowed mare. He opposed this attack, but wouldn't shirk duty. Nearby, General Hiram Granberry organized Texas troops. States' rights gist, commanded South Carolina brigades. Otho Strahl led Tennessee boys fighting on home soil. John Adams prepared Mississippi Division, 5 generals. In hours, all dead. Tod Carter found his company. From here, he could see family farm. Carter House sat directly behind Union lines, parents and siblings hiding in basement. Captain Carter would lead men across childhood property. He turned to soldiers. "Follow me, boys. I'm almost home." 4 o'clock. Confederate drums began advance. 18,000 men stepped forward in unison. Formation was magnificent. Parade ground perfect. Officers on horseback led from front. Battle flags marked each regiment. For first 100 yards, silence except tramping feet and jingling equipment. Union artillery commanders waited. Range, 1,800 yards, 1,600, 1,400. Still they held fire, letting Confederates close distance. At 1,200 yards, order came. Fire. 60 Union cannons erupted simultaneously. Bombardment began. Killing ground opened beneath Confederate feet. Solid shot tore gaps through advancing lines. Men simply disappeared, torn apart by iron balls moving faster than sound. Comrades closed ranks and continued forward. Shell fragments screamed through air. Explosions threw bodies like rag dolls. Perfect formation wavered. Still, Confederates advanced. I'm Tennessee private in Cleburne's division. My ears ring from cannon thunder. Man beside me has no face anymore. I step over bodies, friends from training camp. Hands shake loading musket. We haven't fired one shot yet. Still we walk forward. Still we die. 800 yards. Confederate soldiers began running. Rebel yells erupted across line. Officers duel. Spurred horses forward. Charge accelerated into full sprint. Behind them, ground carpeted with dead and wounded. Ahead, Union rifles appeared over breastworks. Worst killing was about to begin. Union infantry opened fire at 300 yards. Volleys rippled down defensive line. Thousands of rifles firing in coordinated sequence. Confederates fell in waves. Charge never hesitated. Men climbed over bodies of comrades, reloading while running, screaming defiance, dying in open fields. General John Adams reached Union works first. His horse leaped wooden breastwork. Adams fired pistol into Federal faces. For one impossible moment, he was inside enemy lines. Then 50 rifles fired simultaneously. Adams and horse fell backward, dead before hitting earth. First general fallen, Cleburne's horse was shot. He continued on foot, sword raised, shouting encouragement to men. Single bullet struck his abdomen. He staggered forward several more steps, then collapsed yards from Union trenches. Soldiers who followed him for years watched their general die in mud. At Carter House, fighting became hand-to-hand. Confederates poured over breastworks. Union soldiers fought with bayonets, rifle butts, fists. Men stabbed and clubbed each other in trenches. No mercy given, no quarter asked. Battle devolved into primal savagery. Blood ran through defensive works. Tod Carter was shot down on family property. Bullet tore through his body 50 yards from where he'd played as child. He lay wounded in darkness, calling for help. His family couldn't reach him. Union and Confederate soldiers fought literally over his bleeding body. General Hiram Granbury died on knees, found next morning with hands covering face, frozen in final prayer. General States Rights Gist took bullet to chest. General Otho Strahl was killed leading another wave forward. Slaughter of Confederate leadership was unprecedented in American military history. Darkness fell. Fighting continued by moonlight and muzzle flash. Soldiers couldn't tell friend from enemy. Men fired at shadows. Wounded screamed for water, for mothers, for death. 5 hours battle raged. 5 hours continuous killing in space smaller than modern city block. Union soldiers ran out of ammunition and threw rocks. Confederates used bayonets when powder gave out. Artillery fired canister at point-blank range, turning cannons into giant shotguns. Barrels glowed red-hot. Gunpowder smoke was so thick, soldiers choked. Battlefield became hell illuminated by fire. I survived charge, somehow. I'm lying in ditch filled with bodies, some still alive, moaning. Above me, battle rages. I have no ammunition left. Rifle is broken. I'm covered in blood, mine and others. I close eyes and pray for morning, or death. Either would be mercy. 9 o'clock. Confederate attacks finally ceased. Soldiers collapsed from exhaustion. Union line held. Thousands of Confederate dead and wounded carpeted ground before fortifications. General Hood sent more. Waves forward. Each was repulsed. His army was bleeding to death. He couldn't stop. Midnight. General Schofield ordered withdrawal to Nashville. His army slipped away in darkness, leaving wounded behind. Confederate forces were too shattered to pursue. By dawn, Union troops were gone. Hood claimed victory. After all, he held battlefield. Bodies told a different story. November's first morning revealed carnage. Ground before Union works was carpet of gray uniforms. Bodies stacked 3 deep in places. Wounded men who'd lain out all night begged for water. Medics moved among them, overwhelmed. Scope of disaster defied comprehension. Confederate casualties, over 7,000. Union casualties, around 2,000. 6 Confederate generals killed or mortally wounded. 7 more wounded, 1 captured. 55 regimental commanders were casualties. Army of Tennessee's officer corps had been decapitated. Fighting Force of South essentially died at Franklin. Carter family found Tod in darkness. They carried him home, their son returning as broken casualty. He died December 2nd in childhood bedroom, overlooking fields where he'd fallen. His gravestone would mark both homecoming and farewell. Franklin gave and took everything simultaneously. Carnton Plantation became field hospital. every room filled with wounded and dying, blood soaked through floorboards, amputated limbs piled outside windows. McGavick family moved through hell, offering water and comfort. On back porch, 5 bodies lay in a row. 3 were generals. Patrick Cleburne was stripped of boots, sword, watch, everything valuable, found barefoot, face down in mud. Stonewall of West reduced to anonymous corpse, eventually identified and taken to Columbia for burial. His fiancée Susan received letter days later. Wedding would never happen. General John Bell Hood never accepted responsibility. He blamed subordinates for Spring Hill, blamed soldiers for insufficient aggression at Franklin. His official report painted Confederate heroism against overwhelming odds. He couldn't acknowledge truth. He destroyed his army through pride and rage. Support our channel. Subscribe so you won't miss exciting new videos. Your likes and comments inspire us to create more quality content. Together, we'll make this channel a place of knowledge and inspiration. Thank you for your support. Survivors struggled to comprehend what they'd witnessed. Private Sam Watkins called it blackest page in war's history. Union officer wrote, "Never saw dead lay as thick as before our works." Another described blood running like branch, Southern slang for creek flowing with blood. Some Confederate soldiers incredibly claim victory. "Victory is ours but dearly bought," wrote one Alabamian. They'd held battlefield, captured enemy works briefly. By traditional measures, that meant success. Others understood differently. "2 such victories will wipe out any army," Missouri private observed. Correctly, Army of Tennessee was finished, not destroyed completely. 20,000 men remained, but leadership, cohesion, fighting spirit were gone. Officer corps that had led since Shiloh lay dead at Franklin. Survivors were hollow-eyed ghosts. Hood's army existed only in name now. December 1st. Common sense demanded retreat. Campaign had failed. Army was shattered. Winter was approaching. Nashville's defenses were impregnable. 60,000 Union troops waited there under General George Thomas. Hood commanded barely 25,000 demoralized survivors. Logic screamed, withdraw immediately. Hood marched north. He couldn't retreat without admitting total failure. Franklin had to mean something. Confederate soldiers dug trenches outside Nashville, knowing position was hopeless. They were outnumbered, outgunned, exposed to winter weather. Above them, Union forces prepared attack. Below them, comrades rotted unburied at Franklin, December 15th and 16th. George Thomas attacked. His 60,000 fresh troops overwhelmed Confederate positions. Hood's army collapsed. Retreat became rout. Soldiers threw away weapons and ran. Officers couldn't restore order. Army of Tennessee dissolved. Units that fought from Shiloh to Atlanta simply ceased existing. Hood reached Mississippi with fewer than 20,000 survivors. Thousands had deserted during retreat. Others were captured. Equipment was abandoned. Army that defended Western Confederacy for 3 years was destroyed. Hood resigned January 23, 1865. His military career ended in complete disgrace. Strategic impact was devastating. Western Confederacy was defenseless. Sherman marched unopposed through Georgia and Carolinas. No Confederate force could oppose him. Army of Tennessee, which should have been that force, was scattered across South. Franklin killed the West. Nashville buried it forever. Let's talk numbers. Franklin lasted 5 hours. Over 9,000 casualties total. Nearly 7,000 Confederate. That's 23 casualties per minute. Pickett's charge at Gettysburg was smaller and briefer. Franklin was largest charge of entire war, also bloodiest. Numbers don't capture horror. 14 Confederate generals became casualties. 6 killed outright or mortally wounded. 7 seriously wounded. 1 captured. In no other battle, North or South, did so many high-ranking officers fall. Leadership wastage irreparably harmed Confederate command structure. Talented, experienced generals died, leading hopeless charges beyond calculation. Consider Cleburne. At 36, he was South's finest divisional commander, tactical genius, inspirational leader. He'd saved Confederate Army at Ringgold Gap, stopped Sherman at Pickett's Mill. Now dead in muddy field from senseless frontal assault, he opposed. What battles might he have won? Franklin destroyed families. Carter's lost Tod. McGavock's turned plantation into cemetery, burying 1,500 Confederate dead. Thousands of Tennessee families lost sons, brothers, fathers. Northern families received telegrams, killed at Franklin. Battle's human cost rippled through generations. Some wounds never heal completely. Walk Franklin's battlefield today. Carnton still stands, Carter House remains, bullet holes preserved. 1,500 graves mark McGavock Confederate Cemetery. You can trace Confederate lines across open fields. Stand where Union breastworks held. Feel weight of what happened. History lives in ground. Franklin teaches bitter lessons. Aggression without wisdom is suicide. Pride kills more surely than bullets. Orders must be questioned when they guarantee disaster. Soldiers deserve commanders who value lives. John Bell Hood forgot these truths. 7,000 men paid with blood. War demands accountability. Some historians debate Franklin's inevitability. Could Hood have flanked? Should he have retreated after Spring Hill? What if subordinates had been more aggressive day before? These questions miss point. Franklin happened because one man let rage overwhelm reason. Leadership failed. That lesson transcends time. Picture last Confederate soldier leaving Franklin. Dawn, December 1st. He looks back at fields carpeted with dead friends. Generals he'd followed for years lie cold on mansion porch. His army is broken. Cause is lost. Everything he fought for dies behind. He turns north, toward Nashville, toward disaster. Franklin was beginning of end. After this disaster, Confederate hopes in West evaporated. Army of Tennessee never recovered. Within months, Appomattox. War ended with Franklin's echoes still ringing. 5 hours of slaughter that changed everything. 5 hours when pride devoured army. 5 hours sealing Confederacy's fate. Remember Franklin not for glory. There was none. Remember it as warning. War is not romantic. Soldiers are not pawns. Leadership bears crushing responsibility. 7,000 casualties in 5 hours. 6 generals dead. Army destroyed. One man's fury transformed into national tragedy. Franklin's lesson written in blood. Ignore at our peril.